Warm greetings, everyone. Welcome to today's session on women in architecture. The discussion on women in architecture is about understanding the nuances of being women in the profession, and it is placed in the larger purview of being in the diverse field of built environment for those women who started their career with architecture education. The session is conducted with the support of Eco Development and Research Cell, a non-for-profit initiative from the Environmental Design Consultants, Ahmedabad. My name is Mansee Bal Bhargava, and I'm the host for the session today, and also this is my personal research journey. I'm extremely glad to take up this study with women engaging in practice and pedagogy of the built environment, having been in the field for nearly 3 decades now. The aim of the study is to celebrate the presence and participation of women in shaping the built environment. The objectives are to learn, document, and disseminate the biographical journey of women who choose practice, research, education, arts, activism, and a mix of all of them in a multidisciplinary and transdisciplinary approach to chart their career path. I found that actually women have redefined and delimited the very scope of architecture the way it is taught in the schools and colleges. Through the study, I wish to acknowledge and appreciate the contribution of women in the profession, bring forth the critical points that need to be addressed at individual, institutional, and collective levels as what makes or breaks or tweaks the career of women architects in the country. The study allows us to implicitly understand how women maneuver their lives to find the purpose of being in the profession, which also help us to explicitly build role models for the current and future generation. When I started the career, it was all about the well-known architects were all male dominated. It's not today like this, but still we need to build these role models amongst the women. Therefore, the study is a call for action to realize the need for equitable architectural profession in order to advance towards an equitable and sustainable built environment. From the research study, we have found that actually women have so much diversified and redefined architecture that it is also worth questioning how do we look at architecture which is still highly masculine and patriarchal. The method of this study is called autoethnography. So it's not about architecture, to be honest, but it's about the biographical journey of women. And in simple words, the method can be it's their life journey and researcher's pen, which is me here. And the method includes a semi-structured, open-ended interaction followed by developing a video series through YouTube of this interaction and transcribing the interactions to make a coffee table book. We have now reached nearly 70 sessions, which already speaks volumes that this is a much required study. When I started, it was really not understood because people are more focused to studying architecture per se. And when we talk about gender, it is about how architecture should be for women. And here I'm talking about women for architecture. So that's the difference I'll bring in this research. Today we have Dr. Champa HS to lead us in the conversation and share with us her life journey. And I'll just keep it simple. She is our speaker in our water series. Actually, she's the dean at the School of Architecture of Mysuru and a very passionate environmental crusader, urban crusader, I can say in short, because we want to hear more than what she does in architecture and built environment and understand her life journey. Champa. Good afternoon, good evening, and thank you so much for agreeing to do this conversation. I hope you are ready for this informal interactive session, which for me is a formal research, to be honest. Now you are seasoned speaker with me, so I think we are going to.
Yeah. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I don't know what question you're going to ask me. I don't know what I'm going to answer. I'm sure I'm going to enjoy this particular conversation. That's all I'm looking forward to.
Thank you so much, Champa. As I said, it's a biographical journey. You need not prepare anything for this interaction. And I really make sure that I don't share questions with our speakers so that they can flow like water. As you know, my passion is also about water, as about women leadership. So, shall we start?
Definitely.
Okay. So let us take you to your young days, very young days in high school, and how was it in your family and friends that probably have moved you or motivated you to come to architecture education? What brought you to architecture education?
Now I'm born and brought up in Mysuru. Okay. Lovely city. Now, I also would like to tell, I mean, thanks to the Maharaja, the Vadaya dynasty, we got what is urban on a ready pallet, which most of the city or the settlement may not have witnessed it. So we are born into it. Okay. So I think that is where all our the learning starts. So that is one good thing. Now, if you really ask me about my school days, yeah, I mean, it was very natural. And we used to never study as such at home. But we used to be me and my sister, I still remember, we used to be first rank, second rank, or something like that. But those days it was not even spoken about. Ha, padna hai to padenge na. So it was like it was never discussed, or our parents or grandparents never forced us or anything like that. But one thing I need to understand about, I mean, when you talk about what were the sort of influences that I had, maybe at that time you didn't really think about it. But now that people are asking so many times, now when we look back, there is a pattern. There is
Mm.
certain things, it could be in the DNA or genes or anything you may call it, whether to believe or not. I mean, just to tell from my maternal parents' side, if I go, my grandfather was a politician. Okay.
Mm.
So, and he was also freedom fighter, and he has done certain initiatives or taken action to Mysore, which till now we are all enjoying. So, just to name one, I mean, that was one of his dream job. We do have a hill which is called Chamundi Hill, which is like, the main thing, one of the main element you could say, or the character or the thing in Mysore. So it's a
Mhm.
hillock kind of a thing. And he wanted to create, I mean, since he was part of Congress, so he called it as Nehru Loka, you know. But the idea behind was to create a green zone around that particular hill, which will become like a lung space to the entire Mysuru. So the religious and the ecological biodiversity and things like that, that is one thing. And he was also chairman for City Improvement Trust Board. And he could do it. But then sad part, then the minute he came off his post, it was denotified, that particular. Can you imagine thousands of acres, at least in the heart of the city, getting greened? These were things. So we were all very kids. We used to hold his hand and move around. We didn't know where we were going, what he was talking. But, we were there in that particular circle of people. And my grandmother, that's his wife, used to be always ladies, ladies, ladies. She ran school for the lower community, and created so many competition, only women involved. Okay, so that was the kind of thing. And paternal side, if I say it, my grandfather was just very strict, because we used to stay with him. He was a retired inspector. So then how it is there, even the way we walk, the way we talk, the way even we leave our slippers at home, once we before we enter, everything used to be like, but I really enjoyed, learned so much from him, because we used to do gardening together, you know and he made sure that our study hours little bit or something like that. Grandmother looked after all the farm and traveling, all that. So you've been seeing all these kind of people around you, consciously or subconsciously. So many things have been sort of like, come to us, I feel. Similarly, the parents, no questions asked. I think I ask more question to my son than what my parents asked me the questions. That was the change in terms of parenthood. And I think these are the things sort of like, made me get into architecture. But if I just talk about it, I did my diploma in architecture to start with, and I just joined. I think in second year, that is where the turning point came. Like, diploma se kuch nahi hoga, kuch karna hai. And since we've been listening to all this thing at home and things like that, so the next thing was like, continued and things like that. And I always wanted to be a landscape architect, but somehow did not get into it. But I did get into, I did a PG diploma in ecology and environment and joined for another master's of environmental design, which was a
Mhm.
combination of landscape and urban design. That's how it
Yes.
was sort of tailor-made. But then because of me, the course only was this thing, because at that time I was carrying, now to tell you, we
Mm.
were only three students because it was the first of its kind, the course. So then I left. So then I took 1 year break because to have my baby. So then they said, okay, now only for one or two students, we can't run that course. So we always shifted to urban design. So me
Mm.
becoming an urban designer was a coincidental. So, but
Okay,
there's no
nice.
looking back at all at that.
Absolutely. Just before we continue the conversation, may I request you to come a little further because
Okay.
yeah,
Yes.
yes, because you are
Yeah, yeah.
really
Too far.
small in proportion in the screen. So
Yes. Now
still
can
further,
I?
huh? Because no, because your chin is getting cut. So
Yes.
still more, still more.
Yes.
Yes, still more.
Oh, okay.
Yes, because you are really your screen has very less of you and more of everything.
Okay.
No.
Yes.
Uh,
No. Okay. Then I might have to change my this thing
uh,
only then.
this is better. This is perfect.
Oh,
Now
is
this
it
is
so?
perfect. Yes,
Okay. Yes.
this is
Okay,
what
fine.
I was looking for. Thank you so much.
Okay. Yeah.
So I just want to bring back the conversation about being woman here. And you, as you said, you went through undergraduate and your diploma and your postgraduate. Uh, I know from my memory, because this is more of a reflective study as well, research as well. I never realized when I was in college that being woman in this profession is going to be different. How was it with you when you were studying? Did you find, I mean, see, this whole conversation, every woman who have come to our platform, they have cherished it because it is a reflective moment for everyone, who have joined this, because we often think that these are not important, but I have realized talking to younger generation, especially women, that they can make it. So I mean, I'm just curious to know from you. We thought during college days that we can win the world, and because in our class almost top 10 ranks were all women, all girls in the sense.
That has always.
But anyway, so in undergraduate, I will say I never realized being a woman in the profession is going to be different. I think I realized it right after my graduation when I joined the job, and also when I started doing my independent consultancy and and of course later my master's at SEP. How was it with you? Did you ever realize in your early career, in your college days, that it is gonna be different to be a woman, or do you really still think that it is no, it is not going? Really does not matter that what gender you are in the profession. What's your personal experience? I mean, I would not like to really encourage you to talk about how it is in the society, because I wish to draw that from all the participants' experiences. But and the questions for general observation will be towards the end. How was your experience about being woman in the profession, early career and college days?
But frankly, to tell you,
Yes, you have
Mansi,
to be frank. Yeah.
I don't know. I think only off late after joining Wiki, and then you have called me for women in architecture. Then recently, one of my clients, she said, "Yeah, ladies design better." And it's
Mm.
very new to me. 1 year
Okay.
or maybe 1.5 years, then I've started listening to this. Maybe I was tomboyish, I don't know, but because I was introvert as a younger kid. None of my relatives knew that I existed. But then I used to play a lot on the street, that is, gully gully mein, nukkad mein, like Kelo. We used to play, girls and boys. I feel even the gender difference was not so much in those days. At least that's what I felt.
Yes,
Or
of
we
course,
never,
it's your experience.
I feel now we are talking more and more. I wouldn't say yes, I do have friends or I somewhere we have here heard stories of so many people going through lots of. I wouldn't say touchwood or anything. Maybe it is our families made differently. And
Absolutely.
just to give you, I did my first year of bachelor's, that is BArch at
Mm.
Bijapur, which is
Mm.
almost about 800 kilometers from Mysuru. So then
Mm.
that was my merit seat. Then I went there.
Mm.
And when we used to travel, those days there was no luxury buses. It used to be train
Yes.
or the normal buses. I used to travel. I never thought about it. Even peti leke, like, the trunks, the steel trunks and things like that. So overnight, sometime those buses used to stop off on the highways. I'm like, I used to not feel anything, but I remember one elderly person, no, don't you think you should not travel alone? Which had never struck me. And my
Um,
parents never looked in from that particular perspective. So I think my journey has been little different. And for me, work and profession comes first. And
mm.
that family has been open about it and they've accepted it or whatever. I mean, I don't go to kitchen. Yeah, that's the fact. I don't mind talking about it. But at the same time, yeah, I do know cooking, I do know everything, but I have taught my son everything. But then, it's different thing. But I never had to spend my time मुझे करना है नहीं करना है. I think that was the
Mm.
beauty of my life and my people around it and things like that.
Yeah.
And as I said, it's only from 1 year or 1.5 years that I've been hearing about it, because I have traveled night because of my academic travel, it could be, or it could be because of my professional practice that I have got. So I worked in, I studied in Bijapur, I told you. Then I took a transfer and studied in Bangalore, up and down and things like that. Then I worked with Dean de Cruz in Goa. That was
Yes.
another experience by itself. And later I moved to Trivandrum for the next 4 years. Then, that was another thing, new language, new people. I learned the language because not because of the client, but rather because of the laborers and the carpenters who were there. We did
Mm-hmm.
umpteen number of resorts, travel a lot. So my Syriac sir, he used to give me, he's a landscape architect. So he
Mm.
used to let me travel, go to other places, meet the clients on my own. I think even Dean DeCruz office also the same thing happened. Even in I think these were all like nobody treated us like, can you travel? Will your parents allow? Those things were not at all part of the conversation at any
Wow.
given point. We used to travel to Chettinad to buy, those houses with the roofs and things like that. Lots of resort we did. So I don't know, even now I travel so much. My weekends are full and things like that, or activities and all. So I
Yes.
think I want to tell, like, I came all alone. Now people will tell we are going for solo rides and things like that. I came back from Goa when I was coming back for good. I came on two-wheeler alone.
Mm.
You know, I don't talk about it. Like it became so natural for us. But then now, like it's,
Mm.
oh, I did it. Like, no, I wanted to do it. I've done it. That's it. I think this is the
That's
way
good.
I have looked at it.
Absolutely. And it's also, we are talking about personal experiences. And I must share also that we are privileged people in the society, you know. So we have to also factor that. And as a researcher, I'm considering that aspect as well. I mean, even for me, I grew up like a son actually for my parents. But because I am interested in this research and because numbers tell completely different story than my own experience and your experience for that matter, we have to take it more seriously, and you must be aware of it that actually a number of women graduating from architecture school now outnumbers men, but number of
Yes.
women practicing architecture is way far less than the number of men practicing. So these are the things which are important. It's just that we have to be conscious about being privileged. And you very rightly said it is about parenting, and I must add to it that it is also about the culture of the place. I'm also realizing that if you are born in the south of India or east of India, it's a completely different story altogether. I mean, me myself also being Bengali, very outspoken and a very vibrant, society where women are much more equal, as I can see from Central India and Western India and Northern India. That also factors in our in our way of looking at things. But good to know that you have not experienced the gender issues, which is really nice. But still, I'm sure now leading institutes coming across so many young women force in not only in education, but also as your colleagues and around. They must be very keen to hear how was your journey, because this is also something to inspire many of the young women that they can also do it. You know, my next question to you is about, as a profession, you already mentioned that for you, profession is first. I know most of the successful women also vouch for that, which is absolutely fine. But still, there is some personal life. And the question is not about personal life, but we would like to know your mantra about balancing the personal, professional, passionate life. Because what I am also realizing, talking to most of the women, is that we are also really damn lucky that we could bring our personal, professional, and passion at one place. At least I can say that for me. And that's where I can continue doing things the way, like a nagging mother, so I can continue my research without any support or just because I'm convinced. What is the mantra for Champa in keeping her sanity, in bringing her passion, profession, personal life in such a way that you can really balance it across? Most of the women who fall out of this whole process are unable to find this convergence, are unable to carry the passion, probably, are they reach a point in life when they have to really select between profession and personal life. And most of the time, it is the motherhood period when women choose personal life over professional life. How is it with you? Tell us some mantra for the younger generation.
I think be to yourself. That is one thing.
Mm,
And don't put your nose into anybody's life. It's not worth it. At the same time, it's not that everybody is close to you and you start talking about it. And then, I think I've always been to myself most of the time.
mm,
So I think that is what sort of leaves me in peace. Okay.
mhm.
Because I don't know if anybody's problems as such, or am
Yes.
I not trying to talk only about my problems? I'm only talking about what is possible. What can we do? Where can we go? Always it's become part and parcel of me talking all the time. Okay. I
Mhm,
think it's not, it didn't come because I became a professional or whatever. From my
mhm.
childhood, I have been like that.
Yes.
Okay, I think that really mattered. As I mentioned, not many. I think even my mother-in-law and family saw me only on the engagement day. Before that, they had not even seen me. They didn't know that they knew I exist, but they didn't know anything else. It was like that. But now, if you just ask me about the professional thing, now when you start this, yes, I did get married, and my husband used to work at ISRO, but then his calling came from the village side. So then he went back to the ancestral agriculture practice. But then, being a mechanical engineer, he started getting into more of research or finding. So we are into agriculture or organic architect. I mean, agriculture, you can say it. Now you may say, why am I talking about that? I was very sure whom I was going to marry, not the
Mhm,
person, but then what should be. One, I had decided that I'm not going to settle down in the metropolitan, especially Bangalore. In my student days,
mhm,
I had decided. Another one, my husband should not be in the regular job. Rather, he needs to be his
mhm.
own boss so that I can take him where I want to go. So
Okay.
from our initial maybe 5 to 10 years, wherever I went for my Kerala to Tamil Nadu to wherever I went for my professional site visits, meetings, and things like that, my husband used to come. So it became sort of like, personal life, the relationship at the professional thing. So all my clients have become family friends. So my husband knows everybody. So I don't know, it was not with intention that I did. It's just that
Mhm,
I just made it so not, I mean, later he got too involved in his own career. No, I wouldn't say career, his own vision or dreams.
mhm,
So then now we don't really, but still, like, any client calls, and I do have clients from 20 years, couple of them.
mhm,
Anything that they want to do for themselves or for their kids, they come back. Champa, we are planning to do this. When are you visiting it? Okay, I think that
mhm.
is how the things have been. Now, another thing you mentioned, being a lady, yeah, certain natural things we have to accept it. Even
Absolutely.
when I was 9-month pregnant. I think another 2 weeks later, I was going to be in the delivery. I used to travel because I wanted to do that last site visit to Ooty because that's where my our resort was happening. I'm very happy about the outcome of that. It's called Kurumba Village Resort. It's sort of in near Kunur. So I went in the bus. I had to sit because I didn't book the ticket early. I was sitting in the last seat, and you know how bumpy they are. If you look
Mm.
back now, it is little scary, and my sight was contoured. And it was so slopey and things like that. I move around like anything, like any normal person. But then, not, thank God, nothing happened. But when you look at it, oh, but so the thoughts were not there at that time. You have to do it, you have to do. That is a natural thing which is happening. Another person is coming out of you, but then, that's just a journey. And even after my baby was born, 3 months old, I had to make the same site visit. We
Mhm.
took the baby along, like the laborers do. They tie the sari
Yes.
in the workplace. The laborers I'm talking about. We made us with the sari, we made a loop under a tree, put the kid there. I finished the entire day's work. So he was 3 months old. So he's used to it now. My mother, I can't be like, expecting her to cook and feed me all that. And thank God, anyway, I had all the support system. I need to appreciate my mother or mother-in-law
Absolutely.
or anybody. I mean, even now also, my lunchbox is ready on the dining table for me to take it and go. So my mother will keep it there and things like that. So I'm little
Mhm.
pampered also from that perspective. But then they have accommodated me. But my
Mm.
question is, why, when it is a professional, why do we have to talk it as a, oh, only man can get retired? I mean, my husband has been in one place, rather, I have been traveling. I went to Dubai, to Coimbatore, to whatever place. I have enjoyed. And I've traveled a lot because of the students and the study trips and things like that. I
Absolutely.
think I can't be asking for more than that. I mean, as a
Yes.
professional.
Absolutely. And I think, again, just a reminder in this session, and I say this with most of the sessions, that probably this conversation is happening with because I am looking for at successful women to build role models also. Maybe there is the bias in this research is actually we are privileged people with the support of family or environment and other things, and that is where it becomes all the more bigger responsibility for us to handhold people who do not have this kind of support to find out ways how things can work. That brings me to a question which is very important for me as well as for everyone's life, and some decisions you took which shapes you what you are today. So life changing decisions. One, I could just hear that you were so clear about what kind of life partner you would look for.
Yes.
But
No, see, I
otherwise,
didn't know what that person
of
would
course,
be.
not
But then,
clarity.
these were
But
my things. That's it.
yes. So let me ask a prequel question to it, which I missed now because we talked about him, your spouse. And I ask this question to everyone as well. And you can answer it not from your own life also, but it is like a hindsight or a hypothesis question you can consider looking at your friends and peer groups around. What do you think for architect woman it is to have a husband from the same profession or husband from other profession? What's your idea about it? I ask this question with a very particular note on it that most of the famous male architects in this world, and especially in India, their spouse sitting at the background with no recognition, no name, are women architects. This is by data. And that's why this question becomes important for you. But what is your personal experience with imagining this situation also because of your friends and around? What do you think? Architect with an architect husband or non-architect husband, how does it matter?
Actually,
Does it matter at all?
just 30 minutes back before coming here, I was just talking to a friend. She's very intellectual, and also we were just having this conversation. She was like, oh yeah, I know you have to leave early now because. So she said, no, but it doesn't happen all the time because she knows me for quite some time now. So she's like, sometimes you do question, like, the way things have to move, it's not going the way, things like that. I do know a friend, who had a very pretty bad, who was treating her very badly, locking up and going. But
Wow.
then she decided, and then she took a divorce, and then she got remarried, and she's leading very good life now.
Mm-hmm.
Certain decision, I think these people who have taken, another good friend of mine, again, same thing. She was not happy. After the kid was born, she said, no, I'm not going to be there. She just left. She is like, doing very well in life. I think the ladies have to take the decision. Yeah, I think the societal norms and things like that, concerns are there, and family pressure will be there. I know it. But I think it is once in a while, sometime, in the during the discussion, you feel ladies don't really need men to survive or to lead their life.
Yeah, the
Definitely
studies are
no.
actually telling
Rather, it
it.
is the other way around. Okay. But then there's a beauty in that relationship too.
Absolutely.
As far as it is smoothly, I mean, sailing smoothly and things like that, you enjoy. But at the same time, there are so many people who have not got that particular thing. I think they need to take the decision. And there are so many opportunities. There are so many people out there to help. I think that one bold decision is very, very important. But for me, no. I mean, whenever I wanted to quit from some place, not because of the male or female, it's just, sometimes you know that you have stopped growing, or you've stop thinking little beyond than what you want to do. Then I think that
Mm.
is when you decide, okay, this is the end of it. Let me move on to the next step of something more challenging, something more forthcoming, like, where your every day is something exciting to look for. That is what I think. It's always a balance of life that is there. I mean, we
Mm.
cannot deny that particular factor at all.
So, yeah, that actually brings me to an interesting question here because you talk about balance, and when we look at the built environment, that is also seeking some kind of balance. And also knowing from you that you really have not made that gender marked distinction in your life, in your career, and you have not been so affected, as well as not you have observed so much because you are unaffected by it. Let me just put it that way. But do you think that there is a kind of a gender lens in the way the architecture profession actually deals with things? I mean, in both in terms of design approach and in terms of business approach. Does it really
Definitely.
matter maybe as a woman? Because why women are unable to make big offices? I'm not saying there are not many women making big offices. There are, but now you go to many successful architects again, not only their spouse, but you see the majority of the office is housed by women employees. What
I
is
think.
it in the woman about design approach, about business approach that either makes them and even breaks them?
See, I'll tell you one thing. I was telling somebody recently also. This male dominant society has been in our culture over 2000, 3000, whatever number of years.
And women also
And we are
embraces
on
it.
the
That's the interesting part.
fast track. No, no, no. What I'm trying to tell is we are on the fast track now. And this awareness have started coming in because
Yes.
when the lady became an independent person and things, otherwise she was not even made to or given an opportunity unless there were very few people who voiced out or came out of their shell to work on it. Otherwise, it
Hmm.
has been male dominating. So
Hmm.
now suddenly, if you ask the society to change, it's not going to happen overnight. My only thing to all the ladies, I keep telling the mothers also, whoever comes to meet me as parents and things like that, I think it's the ladies or the female who has to change first.
Yes.
Because at
We have to
home,
change.
it's the husband whom we have to mold, adapt them to our situation or thinking, and our kids, be it a girl or a boy, I think we
Yes.
need to tune them properly, which I think most of the time you're seeing It's not the male who is taking these kind of decision. It has to be like this. It's the female, the mother, the grandmother who's doing it. So I think this particular message has to go across very strongly. And whenever, because I make it a point to be part of parents teachers meeting, and I tell the mothers, come on, make the boy do the vessel cleaning, to toilet cleaning, to whatever it is. And let the girl enjoy her life for some time. But at the same time, learn all the life skills. I
Yeah, I
think
mean,
these are
it has nothing to do with gender, learning the life
no,
skills, the domestic
definitely
chores.
no. Yes. So it was going to take some time. We need to have patience. But at the same time, yes, I know in the US, you take it, the job or even what do you call it? The, the officials or the higher post and things like that. Even there also so many things. The kind of time that I have spent, I mean, this is a very recent discussion that I was having with my son. Right now he's in the US, 22-year-old, very enterprising. He's got his own startup, all those things. At 16 he did a treasure hunt at city level and things like that. He's also been like that. He said, Amma, you're too idealistic. World doesn't work that way. It's okay, don't worry. And do you know the kind of effort? Because I am available 24 bar 7 for any work, any call. He said, Amma, people don't work like that. Chill. Okay. So this is what he was trying to tell. And he said, the kind of effort that you are putting in now, if another man had put in, you know what? But I said, I am where I want to be. Whatever I wanted, this is the scale of my operation, and this is where I see myself, and I'm happy with that, and I'm doing what I want to do. But then this particular discussion did come. You know, it's
Mm.
not that, but as I'm telling you, it's only 1 year, say this, all this kind of, I don't know why it is happening.
Yes. Feministic movements have been around, and this discussion is going heavier and heavier to the extent that a few years ago, United Nations itself said that the biggest theft in the human civilization has been that mothers or homemakers have not been paid, and if they were paid, they would have earned fortune. So that's a different discussion altogether, and that also applies to our profession. Even till date, a woman joining an architecture office is paid less than a man joining the same office, same position. I can tell you from our studies and the background work, and I'm sure you are aware of it. And particularly because the profession itself is so low paid. And then women end up doing jobs. And I also realized when I was starting this work, doing my background research and going to a lot of, as you know, I'm already a public speaker, going all over the country and talking about it. I would ask people in the schools and colleges, give me names of 5 women architects in the country. Students will struggle to give names of 5 women architects in the country. Even
Correct.
when I grew up with a lot of aspirations, I had only DD contractor in my mind. I mean, the only woman I knew in my undergraduate time was DD contractor. Then I got to know Meenakshi Jain ma'am, with whom I had the fortune to work. Then I got to know Parul Javeri ma'am and more people who are going to be our speakers.
Okay.
Madhvi Desai, they are going
Yeah.
to be our speakers sometime soon within the 100 numbers, which is our idea. But more and more I read, I also realized that it's not only the profession is actually hit by the gender imbalance, but also the way people around the profession treats you and within the profession treats you. So because you mentioned about it not being so affected, I would still like to press you a little bit more with your reflection on being on the site and being at an academic institution or inside the office. Do you see a difference in the way people treat women, or have you been treated differently? Because in the office it is different, and numbers also tell that many women end up becoming architecture educators. And when I was going to places and asking people name 5 women architects, because I wish to also tell you that I conduct workshop on engendering architecture profession, where I tell how to deal with having women colleagues around. And it's a very good workshop. And I start with this question, and it has a beautiful working together, some game and some questions. Despite the fact that architecture education is donned by women teachers, we still have less than 10% dean and directors who are women. I'm just giving you numbers, by the way. And
I
this
know.
is where this research for me becomes important. Despite this, that all the women educators are architects themselves, students fail to name 5 women architects. They can simply name their teachers. And this is where it also becomes extremely interesting. Who are these architects we are talking about? And if you recall, I started with this in the beginning, that the way women have redefined architecture, most of the women who have come on our platform, either they are into sustainability, inclusivity, pedestrian movements, public space, water. I mean, I have spent 30 years on water and still trying to find out if architecture accepts water as an architecture discipline. Uh, how is it in your experience you find being outside in other fraternity, among other fraternity, and being within the fraternity? Is there, you see some difference in last 2 decades or more where you have your experience? The way women are treated. I mean, you may have personally, of course, a different experience, but have you ever been made to realize that you are a woman? Let me just ask it straightforward.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you, be it profession, yeah, we have very few characters, I could say, in the profession. I mean, I don't mind putting it across like that. But if you really look at the question that you're asking me, I'm just thinking now, women and men are made differently. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
think the left hand, right hand, whatever the scientific reasons, the reason I'll tell you, this happened very recently. There was a discussion where, that conversation went, I mean, got little stretched. The
Mm-hmm.
boys were not there. It was only girls who were sitting there. So somebody brought me to this into my notice, only girls were there, boys had gone off. I said, no, please think the other way around. The girls still respect people, the teachers. They have little more tolerance or patience level. It is only because whether they were absorbing all information, it was going above their head is only God knows or they know. But it is these kind of things which is making them sit even when the boys gave some reasons and went off. Okay, this is one of the things. Another thing is now, even me, when I'm cutting, because we do have our research cell, consultancy, and so many
Yes.
academic program, and I try to make all whatever I think of to make it into academics, so that we are getting that it becomes a nice journey for everybody,
Mm.
to the faculty, to the student, that exposure, everything. But then when I'm you know if somebody wants to do sketching or some kind of organization, some kind of completion, I go to the girls for such certain things. But when it comes to software, when it comes to certain technical detail and things like that, somehow I have in these, I think 2005 I started my academic journey, you know so I think in this 20 years I have seen that boys do have an inclination towards technical learning, so you do
Mm.
bank on them for certain things. So, though we try to mix them together, because when I make the group, we put the list who's good at whatever, and we all come together so that the teamwork becomes very efficient and the outcome is really good. So now, when you are talking about it, I think the profession may this is what happened. The girls tend to take little safer because of the society or the way they have been brought up. They do tend to take these kind of things. And when you're asking about architecture, no, it's not. Because one of the very senior professor who was doing admission to one of the prime university in India for medicine, he
Mm.
was telling, Champa, do you know that most of the girls who join for medicine, hardly 15-20% continue in the profession. For the rest, it is only a marriage material kind of a thing. I become more eligible to
Architecture
get a
also
good
is seen like that.
husband. So the same thing is applied to architecture. I didn't get it in medicine, so I have joined, architecture. And another thing is, even parents, when they're like, oh, madam, not much work, no. I'm like, kya baat kar rahe ho aap log? This is where that understanding
It's a threat,
architecture
I
as a
feel.
profession has become. That,
No, I
I
feel
think even
it
in
is like a
offices,
threat
it's
to the
same.
profession. Mm.
No, but I would like to tell another thing. Not all the women all the time are genuine. I'm very sorry to tell this. When they
Absolutely.
want
Please
to
go ahead.
enjoy, they'll give reasons to the parents, to teachers, to everything. But when they don't want to do the work and things like that, they'll put the blame on somebody else, saying that because of this, I was not able to do it, and things. I've seen n number of these things. And I'm like, even I get very easily my, the God's given tears. I'm like, if somebody start crying, no problem. I will also start crying. But at the end of it, we'll have to move on with our work. This particular angle I've seen from the girls, which I always advise them. Don't let that become your weakness. Rather, you know, one good thing is we can cry and take out all our frustration to whatever. Men cannot do that. Think that you are lucky. These are the things that we need to look at it very objectively, very critically, and then make it part of your life. And then it's a smooth sailing. That's it. That's how I look at the profession. But ladies also have to come out of their shell. That is absolutely true. And as you said, in the professional offices, lots of, because I think again, the male has been given the due importance, what has been there, whether they deserve it or they require it. I think that decision a lady or a wife or a partner has taken, that they should voice it out. That's very, very important. Me and my son are partners in certain business things. We fight a lot on certain decision, but then he does what he has to do, I do what, but we come into consensus. That's what I'm talking about, balance. With my husband also, he's into agriculture thing, I go with him for farm visits or something like that. I learn, we discuss certain things. I'm like, no, I'm full of my other thing, you take. I think this is where everywhere that opportunity needs to be created, and voice out your opinion. Not always, even I tell them, go with the request or look at, sorry, put it across in such a way that you are talking as a professional, not as a woman or not as a pleading, like, can I get a chance? No, come on, prove yourself that you can do the work. And I'm sure you can do it. I think that's the way we need to take it forward.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm also very intrigued by the way you are putting things, because that also helps me to understand what it is when you see the world in terms of equality. Because, of course, since I am doing the research, I am looking at the world which is presently unequal in terms of gender. But it is also good to see, because when we are having this conversation, it is actually not meant to be more woman centric or more men centric, but because the numbers don't lie, these are the things happening. We have to accept, even if I am unaffected out of it. That brings me to, actually, we are coming very close to the closer of the questions, penultimate question, actually. And I would like you to imagine, and I will be very fascinated to hear from you, having a person who is not, who is more looking at things in an equal lens, I would say, and not say that you are unaffected by gender issues. Imagine a situation currently, all the leading architects of the country, designers, planners are men. And we know how cities are, how decisions are made. I would like you to imagine a situation where all the leading architects, designers, planners in the country were women. This is a hypothetical situation. I don't mean to reach that, and this research is not meant to pave the path for that situation. But it is just like in exam, you try for 100% and you somehow get 70, 80%. So this is kind of an urge to bring an equality in the profession. But to bring that equality, I have to aim for equality in profession as well. And I'm doing a very exaggeration of it. Okay, men ruled architecture profession for more than 50 years, and honestly speaking, I'm not embarrassed to say this as well, that they have screwed our cities, highly unsustainable, polluted, everything. But these are my opinion. But what do you think if all the leading architects and designers and planners were women in this country? Do you think we would have different way of community building and cityscapes? And if it is same, why? If it is different, what is the difference you will think there will be? It may be now, if how it should have been, or you can imagine a futuristic situation, which I am imagining.
See, I mean, a coin has two faces. Similarly, I'm just looking at it. Very recently, something happened. I think it was a fight between ladies, and it was full of room. The kind of I mean, I'll tell you two episodes. I mean, rather, things. When many girls sit together, even professionals, I'm talking about,
Hmm.
the conversation will always end up, हाँ आपका साड़ी बहुत अच्छा है, कहाँ से खरीदा? Okay. Or it could be like, oh yeah, did you go there? Whatever. Or it could be on beauty treatment, blah, 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 blah. When you sit with men, I mean, this is where I'm saying,
Yes. Your
genetically or whatever,
experience,
men
yes.
different. They men are trying to show off not this kind of, what the girls or the ladies talk about. They are trying to show off their intellectual part of their side,
Hmm.
not the weaknesses. So they will talk about the football to, that kind of, now it might be the war, it could be the cricket, or it could be something else. It's that hardcore
Politics.
kind of thing all the time. And I was actually, I'll tell you how the difference is coming in now. We were sitting in a canteen and talking. I think I was the only lady there. The rest was all faculty to senior people to students. But couple of students, they were all boys. They could not join the conversation where I was talking about all these things, because I think it's just become part of our life. That's another thing. A few of the boys just could not talk about many, even Formula One we were talking about, those kind of things. They were not able to. So what I'm trying to tell you is things have started changing. That is, one is general knowledge, the other one is exposure, and the other one is, people are looking at, no, we don't have to prove ourselves because of like this. So it is changing. It will take time. That is one thing. The other one is, just to give an example, if ladies, a team in an organization, if they fight, how are they affected, and how long that particular relationship go wrong, or it just stop talking to each other, and hum nahi dekhenge up, like it's done. Or in a similarly, in a men, when they fight, does it get over a drink? These are other things that it comes to the conversation. If you objectively look at it, it does happen in the society. I think
Hmm.
we as ladies, we do things or keep things within ourselves, and we try to drag it little more than what is required. Whether we are made like that or we are intentionally adapted that particular behavior is another thing that I have very much noticed it. And so I think these are the things which sort of affects the profession. Now coming to your main point, if all ladies were ruling, yes, we are very organized. I'm very happy and proud to tell ladies are very organized. If you look at it, whether they were ruling the country or they were ruling their own houses and things like that, it is because of the lady of the house, or lady of the, because we have some um, queens who ruled even Mysore dynasty. They have
Yes.
given very good example. They have been very authoritative, and they're very organized, and many of the visions have been brought out together in a very smooth and this thing. So The men have not been neglected. They have been given their due respect. They have been incorporated into the planning. They have not been left at like, हाँ उसको देखना है क्या? हाँ चलो बाद में देख लेंगे. It's not like that. So I think this is where the ladies would have taken a decision, be it elders. It's not as an afterthought. It would have become an automatic, what do you call, the machinery, where
Prerequisite.
everybody would have been brought together, given due respect, due space, and accommodating each of their requirement. That would have been the perfect solution. Yeah, as you rightly said, no, I do not want that also to happen. I think we do need men, men need women. That also is
Absolutely.
part of the nature itself. So I think
Yes.
that symbiosis we need to find. Yes, it is not a symbiosis right now. It has to happen. I totally agree with you. Yes, that day has to come where, this women reservation. I am against that. At the same time, I also would like to say, the lower category people have been, treated badly. We cannot deny that. But now, 3, 4 generations up the line after this thing, they have been given so much of wisdom, so many facilities and things like that. Now they've all reached a pinnacle where they
Mm.
are in this, similar strata in terms of profession to this thing. Why are you misusing the facilities which are there? Similarly,
Yeah.
for the women, why are men thinking like, whether be it election, be it anything, oh, ladies quota, ladies quota. I don't think we should stop doing it, because every woman is capable of, in terms of studies, to, thinking, critical thinking, or the way the men think. I think they have really come up in life. Though the number is less, I'm not saying no to that, but I think we've reached where I think all these things, the minute all this happen, I think naturally. And another one small point I want to add is, we
Mm-hmm.
are physically made different. That is another thing. So in terms of
Absolutely.
strength and, all that. So that is where I think many physical work, men are there, the laborers, could do whatever, whatever. But let me tell you, in my profession, if a JCB has to work on my contour site, I stand there in the sun the whole day, because you cannot give drawing, obviously, for such kind of thing. I need to take my decisions there on site while the JCB is moving. I think this is how I am made. That's it. As simple as that.
No, absolutely. I mean, we are here to discuss personal experience as well. And you don't have the onus to take responsibility of how things are in the society other than just reflecting. That brings me to actually a last question, which is very simple. And it is your message to the younger generation, because this whole thing is also part of education process, I feel, to motivate everyone. Why we need more people in architecture for nation building or city building, whatever it is, and what are the small gestures at workplace that we require so that women feels more inclusive. I usually use the scientific word, we call it engendering the profession. uh, what do you think, what should be your message to the younger generation for these two? Join architecture and do certain things to make everyone, women especially. And this is not for women to message to women, not for message to men. It's for everyone, and especially younger generation.
I think once we join architecture or any other profession, we need to consider ourselves as a professional, not
Hmm.
in terms of gender. And as
Hmm.
I previously mentioned,
Yes,
when you are weak or you don't want to do, don't bring out the gender, or when you want to do it, so though stop giving reasons is another thing.
absolutely.
And there is enough opportunity for everybody, because there is demand for the right kind of people in the profession. I think we need to equip ourselves. I think that is where we need to step up
Hmm.
from the school days. I mean, when I say school days, the architecture school days, to the profession. And once you're into the profession also, I think these are the things what we need to, every single person has to look in. Don't shy away from hard work. But nowadays, I have started adding hard work coupled with smart work. I think that is the mantra of the day, which I'm preaching even to my faculty. And another thing I always tell, um, I said, Danda leke, you will get the work done, or you will give them chocolate and get the work done. Make them realize the importance of learning and learning it in the right way. I think that is what the message has to go to every person. That is what I would like to.
Oh, thank you so much, Champa. And this is not only your opportunity in this conversation. If you have any question for me, whether about this research or whether about being women in architecture, this is the only last opportunity for you in this format. Of course, you can
Yes,
ask me
actually,
outside.
no. I was wanting to ask you the,
You
okay,
have. I
the
mean, in
good.
all my conversations, there will be an opportunity to speak to
Okay,
me and ask your question. Please go ahead.
yes. Now, Mansee,
Hmm.
now you have traveled around. Your networking is big. I mean, thanks to you and congratulations to you.
Thank
But
you.
what did that trigger that you had within you, which sort of made you take in? Okay, I'm not even talking about water, but this entire bringing in, it's a repository that you're building in. How will
Yes,
it be of use later for the later generation or right now and things like that? You yourself also is building up on that particular thing. But what
absolutely.
made you that one particular day or one particular instance which you decided that this is the way I want to give it back to the profession, or rather, take so many people along with me? I think now when I was looking at it, you have so many I mean, I'm not even talking about followers, rather I would say to whom you have given an opportunity, I would say it,
Yes.
be it the youngsters to the professional, in terms of whichever gender, I mean, the gender, and to the women now we are talking about. What is it, that particular reason which made you take this particular journey?
Oh, thank you. A very close to my heart question, to be honest, and the answer cannot be short for sure. But
I know.
I can put it in a simple way. I don't know whether it is fortunate enough or unfortunate enough, but I have built a career out of failures, and which I feel as a big accomplishment. And there is a lot of altruistic way of in living. And personally, I have been looking at everything from a philosophical angle. So I don't look at problems as my problem, never. And it is, I don't know, it is genetic or it is something which I got enlightenment. I don't know which day was that enlightenment happened. But I always look at things, whether it is my personal relation with family members or friends or professional relations. I try to understand it before really jumping into judgments or things coming to conclusion. Understand it philosophically. What is the implication of me doing? And for me, not doing is much more than doing. I value not doing as a bigger contribution to society than doing. And in profession, for me, it matters a lot. And I look at things from a philosophical background. Everything I will bring back to philosophy and start asking questions. Okay, one person impacted by it, 1,000 persons impacted by it, 10,000, what is the impact? So, personally, I have been looking at things around me from a societal angle. And I think for long, I have forgotten myself, to be honest. I mean, I'm not saying it for the sake of saying on this in this conversation, but honestly, this is how the way I have been looking at life all through. I mean, it's now 30 years, and every little thing happens right from the college time. Everything I see wrong, I will stand up, no matter if somebody is standing with me by my side or not. And I think that slowly build it up. And as I said, bit of altruism and lot of failures, which helped me rethink to the extent that I thought there is nothing like success in life. The only success is when you can follow your passion. And that's where I appreciate many people who think that it is important to have a convergence of passion, profession, and personal life. I don't live them separately. I will be very honest on that. And the biggest learning for me, I think, in last 30 years is that here is a society which wants to tell. We do not have a society which wants to hear. And I wanted to be a listener and learner. And I really don't have big ambition to reach anywhere. I just want to do small things. And I want to share with you that, like Women in Architecture, we recently concluded Women in Water, by the way, with 103 sessions and 128 people speaking to us, closure by Medha Patkar. So valedictory session was with Medha Patkar. Kiran Bedi has spoken on that platform as well. And I love to listen to people. I love biographies. And it's not only to get inspired, but also tell their stories to others. We really lack leadership in the society. We lack people to look up to. And when I look at that, more and more, I feel the leadership in the society is all about men. And for me, that's a question. Honestly, I question more masculinity than being men. And from your conversation also, it comes out very clear that it's not about being woman or man, it's about how you do things. And for me, masculinity has been a question which bothers me. Patriarchy bothers me. Again, a blessed child, as I said, the way I was raised. And anything that bothers me, I will just get into it and try to work around it. And not aspiring to do anything big, make a name out of it, make a fame, make a money out of it, but something that I would like to find answer for myself, to sleep peacefully. I'm not seeking any big work from any of this work. To be very honest, with this water series, listening to 700 people is not a joke. Where are the listeners today? Everybody wants to speak, and I love to listen. And it has been privilege. I mean, having said that, I myself is a public speaker, speaking all over the world. But I think listening to people like all of you, like enlightened soul, as I say, there is so much to learn, and I'm here to just experience the world. And I am a strong believer that I don't need to do a lot of things. I need to do small things, which I love to, and not do many things. So the reason I left building architecture as a definition, building, is I am so heavily 500% convinced that we don't need to put extra brick and cement of a bag of cement on this planet anymore. And that was the moment. I mean, I have done practice for 20 years now. Hardcore practice. My office still runs, but I gave up that. Sorry, I cannot put extra brick and cement bag on this planet anymore. And I think I'm very good in deducing things from life, that this I should not do, this I should not do. That then I'm left with just listening to people what they are doing. So I am always curious to see what people are doing. I don't know what I will do with this knowledge, but definitely all the knowledge is out there in the public domain, open access. There is no fee, nothing. People have told me to run courses about it. I do run my courses. I mean, my bread and butter comes from my own profession. And of course, as a scientist, I work on research. But these are the work or research I do for passion, not for any profession or any funding. I mean, there's no funding for women in architecture, women in water, but I will still do. But I have my own research and livelihood here. At this moment, I am in Germany doing my profession. And I think we always have time to carry out our passion. No direct answer for you. To be honest, I also don't know where I am going. But I love to flow like water. So wherever there is knowledge, I will go. I can give very simple example. Today, I just went to the beach to walk, and I met a colleague from a very senior colleague who was with a delegation of conference delegation of people. And he said, Mansee, why don't you come to our conference and join us? I just simply went and sat there for 2 hours. Wherever there is gyan bat raha hai, I will go and collect it, because I am not embarrassed about it, and I have all the time on earth to go out and meet people. I love to socialize and meet people, and it's through these conversations I'm learning how life is such a beautiful thing for everyone if you try to look at it. I'm not denying there are no problems. There are definitely problems, and this is a good time to also share with you with the question when we ask about, do you have spouse in the same profession or not in the same profession? It also matters how you take your shape, how you want to have your passion to be followed. I think it's a message for every young person to take risk. I took risk a lot of time. I failed a lot of time, and still I feel every day satisfied. 30 years, not even 3 hours or 30 minutes in my life, I have felt bored of my profession. or I have felt that I am not doing something right. I think that keeps me going. I will be very honest on that. These are all self
Right.
organized things, but because of patience and perseverance, I'm just continuing. And I think I will continue as long as I set up a target. Of course, it's a research. I would like to do it as a scientist and put a target to it and come to it as a final solution. So we do plan to make a coffee table book out of 100, the women after we have spoken. And we are already transcribing these conversations. My
Oh,
conversation will be
wow.
cut from it. Probably it will go and sit in the introduction chapter later on. So
Okay. Okay.
this is something I planned. So I designed it for nearly 1 year to do these conversations. And then we are already 5 years old in this. So with women in architecture, it is running very slow, 90% decline rate, only 10% success rate.
Okay.
And this is season 4. We just started last week. So I hope we can reach 100 when I will close the conversation as well. Probably 100, 102 or 3, depending on the things. So if
Okay.
there is
All
something
the
interesting
best.
topic and if somebody wants to speak to us, do let me know. I will be very happy to hear. I can listen to anything and everything. Trust me, Champa, on this.
I know your
As long
absorption
as
power. Yes.
the person is giving me some knowledge, I can listen to any topic. It is not necessary to be in the water and architecture. I am a very good listener, though my ear biologically is getting problematic, but mentally and spiritually, I love to listen to people and love to learn about life journeys. So
That
I'm
is
fond of
another skill.
biographies. Yeah.
That's another
And it
skill,
is a
listening to
skill.
people. Yes.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a skill I cherish because in here, in the noisy world, everybody wants to speak. I want to listen and just stay like a stone looking at the world. Oh, how beautiful it, because then I have time to enjoy this earth. You know, if I am busy running around, I don't have time to enjoy this planet. So I want to enjoy what everyone is doing. And I have
Very
enjoyed
good.
it, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And hats off to you for all this wonderful work that you're doing and all the best. Any help that you need from us, we are there to be there. Okay.
Yes, I'm
And
sure, you know.
as I was mentioning in our education, so today, today and tomorrow, we are celebrating that festival, the Lake Festival,
Yes,
which is part of our, the
yes,
2 years of work. Now we've been taken that to in various format to people. But now in these 2 days, today morning alone, 700 to 800 people visited
yes,
and sort of came, sort of discussed, saw the work we had put it up, and we are doing also signature campaign. Another 300,
nice.
400 in the evening. Tomorrow we are expecting another 1,500 or so. So,
Wow.
in that we could scale up this entire thing so much so that gives us more energy to do something
Absolutely,
more.
absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, yes, absolutely. I am also seeing the way I have never been at one place, to be honest, which is a criticism I often receive about myself. But then I look back and see, and I always try to say that I am water and I'm in pursuit of being like water, just keep flowing. But then we all have different ways of looking at life. I will go wherever there is knowledge. You say there is a knowledge here and you are required there, or you just sit there as an audience. I'm very happy to go and sit there. I will be very
Okay,
honest
so
on that.
now next week, next Sunday, I'm doing a panel for Mysore Literature Festival.
Nice.
And but all the three men whom I'm talking to, senior citizens of Mysore, all are men. I mean, just to tell you, but then
Yeah,
I
yeah,
would
yeah.
like
I make noise about it as
topics.
well. I mean, yeah,
No, but
you know,
the beauty of this is this entire Mysore Literature Festival. This is the 10th year, and it's my sister who's curating it and directing it for the last 10 years. So I'm happy about that.
nice. But I must share with you at this moment that being the national president for recent until recent time of the Water Resource Council, as a duty, I made a lot of noise whenever I saw manels, and I also do make a lot of noise in architecture as well whenever I see manel, because I feel it is my again a philosophical, or I can say professional duty to flag it when people don't see that it is patriarchal or masculine. But anyway, nevertheless, this conversation is not meant to highlight how women are good and men are bad, but it is a conversation to share worries and the wisdom by the woman for the woman and of the woman in the built environment, to be honest. And I have tried to design it in such a way that it is like a master class, regular master class. I try to discipline it, but in no way I'm really thinking that that women can do better than men. But this is a disclaimer I would like to place here before we close the session, that having more women or may actually not engender the profession, especially the way I look at the trends, because more and more successful women tend to become more masculine than the feministic values. And this is where the research actually sits. It's about the feministic values of looking at society than the masculine values, which are kind of more harsh and hard and things like that. Personally, I would like to live a day when we don't have to discuss about men and women. And I see in today's talk that Champa has already attained that day, yeah, in her personal
I think we are,
experience.
sometime I feel we waste our time talking about it. Just leave that
Yeah,
out and then
and
move
you're
on.
right. You're
That's
right. And probably that's the reason I am also not finding many successful women who are unwilling to speak on this platform. But this is a research, and people have, of course, their right to have their opinion about it. And it's
definitely.
about how you look at the world and how the world actually is. Would you like to find a balance in it? It's absolutely a subjective decision. In a way, this research is just a small step towards attaining the goal of equitable profession. Having been affected, having seeing people affected, having read the data about it, how unequitable profession also leads to unequitable and unsustainable built environment. I mean, I'm talking from data as a scientist, to be honest. But thank you so much, Dr. Champa, for the enlightening session. May you remain inspiration to all of us and keep inspiring us. I'm really grateful to have this conversation with you. And I wish you best for your endeavors. And I know a lot of things coming on your Mysore plate. Being actually primarily a water scholar myself, I'm always tempted to jump into these kind of activities. But in this session, because we are focusing on women in architecture, we shall continue with this conversation and learn more about more women and their endeavors. And I'm so blessed that today we actually have our next speaker sitting here, Ms. Kalpana Sutaria, and I'm sure she will enjoy this conversation next week with us. And I shall connect with all of you together outside. Do stay tuned with our social media of Women in Architecture, and you will hear all these 70 women speak so well and how they have achieved a lot of things and how they have maneuvered their life. Until then, thank you so much. And thanks for
Thank
all the participants who are here. Thanks a
Thank
lot. Take
you.
care.
thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.